He was like, well, you can go to school for a long period of time and be an industrial engineer, and you'll cap out at, say, $200,000 a year, right? It's like with sales, you could make that in a month. You could make that in 2 months. I was in the Marine Corps for 16 and a half years. I was an infantry Marine. I was an instructor for Special Operations Group, 2nd Reconnaissance. I was an instructor for kind of like everything in the Marine Corps. So after I got out of the Marine Corps, I ended up getting injured pretty bad. So I looked on Indeed, and my brother, who is the CEO of Jostens, so the ring company, they do rings, caps, gowns, yearbooks. He was like, hey, I think you should get into sales and marketing. I was going to school at the time for industrial engineering, and I ended up switching my major to business management because he kind of like suggested that. He was like, well, you can go to school for a long period of time and be an industrial engineer, and you'll cap out at, say, $200,000 a year, right? It's like with sales, you could make that in a month. You could make that in 2 months. And so he's like, I think you have a good personality for it. At first I was a little hesitant because I was like, dude, I haven't sold a thing in my life, right? And so it's a little hesitant about it, but I found I applied to her company. She kind of took a gamble on me, and when I came in, she's like, I really like this guy. I come from the Marine Corps where we get paid in peanuts, right? To do the hardest work that you can do, no matter how hard you work, you make the same amount of money. Spent time overseas, went on 8 deployments, like I'll do anything to make that kind of money, right? I started up on AT&T. I was originally on Frontier. AT&T, amazing client, and now I run 3 different programs, and we're doing great right now. So I'm glad I took the opportunity, because if it wasn't for Jess, I would have never done it, to be completely honest. Me as a child, it was actually kind of difficult. I was in 7 different families in an orphanage growing up. Troubled kid, I guess, is what you'd say. So I got with the family that I have now that I call mom and dad. I've never met my mom, never met my dad. My dad was an engineer. My mom was a school teacher for special education. So that's kind of also why I joined the military, is because my brothers that were the biological brothers to my parents, one has a sociology degree, PhD, the other one nursing degree and stuff. So they're extremely smart people. So I wanted to kind of create my own path, and that's why I did what I did. I joined the Marine Corps and tried to create my own path. And I think that probably grew me as a person, grew me as a leader, and that's probably why I'm successful today also. Managing a big team is gonna be a little difficult at first. Obviously there were learning curves and things, right? So my first time doing it, I built a really big office and I lost a lot of people, right? The reason why is because I didn't build enough relationships with people. And so it was a struggle, right? Once I built relationships with people and built the right relationships, it allowed me to grow my office kind of double and triple. Put the right people in place in order to run the office effectively. Essentially what I did is I like to have 4 or 5 legs to the table, right? Because otherwise if you don't have a base, you can't hold up a table. So once I had that, then I could build in depth. My biggest thing is leadership. I build people, and I build people through leadership, right? So if somebody can take the first step in being a leader, which is initiative, by looking things up on their own, not having to ask questions, I think that's what builds a great leader. And so in order to have a great business, you need to have a lot of great leaders, right? And I think that was what kind of made me successful in building a great office and a big office. To be a great leader, in my opinion, I feel like you have to be very humble, right? So I'm 37 years old. My best mentor, and who's 24, 25 years old, right? A lot of people say like, hey, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? It's not true. It's all about that person's mindset and how much they want to learn. If somebody wants to be a good student, they want to learn, then they're going to be successful, right? And it's all a mindset switch in a person to whether or not they can be a leader. You can teach somebody how to be a leader. That's not like, some people are natural born leaders. That is a thing, right? But it's just like natural talent. The person though that trains harder and wants to be a leader and can effectively apply the traits are gonna be a better leader than somebody who doesn't, right? Because talent or hard work beats talent when talent doesn't show up. And that's the same process as leadership, right? So somebody can be a more effective leader when they apply all the leadership traits versus somebody that is a natural leader and they just don't do anything that a natural leader is supposed to do. I would have to say my biggest struggle so far has been probably trust. Trusting other people, mainly because it's a new concept to me, right? So in the military, I was the top dog, right? I was the person that everybody went to for everything. Everybody went to for all the information. I was the guy that came up with the plans for everything. So to essentially come into a business aspect and then me have to trust other people and put other people in these positions where they have to figure things out, that's a big leap of trust, right? Especially running a business. You have to depend on other people to do things the same way that you would do it, no matter what. Because at some point when you have a business that has 5 or 6 people, you can do it all yourself. Once you get to that 10, 12 to 15 people, you need like one other person to help you. And then once you scale to 50, 60 people, you have to have systems and people put in place that you can trust, that you can depend on at all times. And if you can't trust those people, if you can't depend on them, then you're never gonna succeed. And that was kind of a big thing that I had to take into and swallow my pride, because I was that person that came up with all the answers. I was that person that had all the answers. Well, in business, you're not gonna have all the answers, no matter what, right? So being able to trust other people is kind of like a big obstacle that I had to overcome when I got in here. So the road to success is always gonna be up and down. And in order to navigate that effectively, what I do personally is when everything is going great and at a high, I actually pick more and I have more problems with everything going on, right? So I find the negatives in everything whenever we're doing great, right? And the reason why is because when I have 60 people in the office and we're doing great, we're probably missing out on the basics and the little things. And I always tell people all the time, it's Navy SEALs, right? Navy SEALs are great, but they're only great at the basics. And that's why they're so successful. They're good at room clearing and house clearing and things like that because they practice the basics so many times that they could do it in their sleep, right? And that's all that we need to do as a business also, is practice the basics and get back to the fundamentals. When you get 60 people in the room, you're not practicing and focusing on the basics. And so that's what I harp on when I have 60 people. When we break down and we're not doing so well, I then focus on mentality, keeping a positive attitude, right? So when people are down and the business is down, I'm the most cheery and positive person, because if I'm negative, that's gonna bring the business down even further, right? So I've gotta go ahead and lead by example, and I need to be the person at the top with the best mentality, best attitude. If I have to go out and I have to do sales again to get my guys on track, then I'm gonna do it, because that's what they need. They need somebody that's gonna be a leader, lead from the front, and be the example. And then when we're at the top, now is when I can pick at problems, right? Now is when I can clear out all the bad stuff in order to be successful and keep that ball moving, right?